We're all set? Live? Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone to the October 3rd, 2023 council meeting. As a reminder, the meetings are live streamed and recorded and available on the internet at www.parrysound.ca. And prior to the open session, there was a closed session of which we have to go back into afterwards to continue some discussions, but it was moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor McCann, that pursuant to section 239(2) and 3 of the Municipal Act SO 2001, C25 is amended. Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound moved to a special meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to the C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes. West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board closed meeting negotiations regarding acquisition of property for project. And K, position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Request to use town water lot, consideration of request to manage Parry Sound Area Industrial Park water and wastewater services. And that resolution was carried to do what we had to do and still do. I'd like to acknowledge at this time that we're on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people under the Robinson Treaty of 1850 and the waterways traveled by the Métis of this region. Do we have a mover and seconder for the agenda? Councillor McCann, Councillor Valesky. The council agenda for October 3rd, 2023 be approved as circulated. Is there any prioritization of the agenda? No? All in favor then? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Nope. Okay. Mover and seconder for the minutes, please. Councillor Borneman, Councillor Ashford. The minutes from the regular council meeting held September 19th, 2023 be approved as circulated. Is there any discussion or comment on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, questions of staff. Councillor McCann.
I guess this would be for Chief Thompson. Can you speak to the gas leak or gas line break that we had last week? And congratulations to the staff on responding to it and coming and mitigating all of the dangers and such that are associated with that sort of thing.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there was a broken gas line in the downtown area last week. I can't recall the exact day right now. However, it was done through construction purposes. I guess the main thing to identify is the vast amount of resources that have to go into a response like this. Not only are we talking about the fire department resources, of which we also asked McDougall Fire Department to respond as well for extra people, because the downtown core is a very difficult area to control traffic in, control pedestrians in, and all those sorts of things. However, public works staff were there extensively. We had from all three branches of public works staff, roads, water, and wastewater. There was many Enbridge trucks on scene. Lakeland Hydro had to attend to shut off power to a certain section of town. So there are vast amount of resources. And then just the problems for the general public. We had to remove a significant number of people from upstairs apartments throughout the downtown core and have them go to someplace safe while the situation was rectified, as well as the traffic disruption in closing down the Seguin Street Bridge and the entire Miller Street area. So everyone responded well, and then also police and EMS were also involved in incidents in the area at the exact same time. So as you can imagine, it was hectic, it was resource heavy, and everyone really had to pull together and work together, and everyone did. It was an excellent response with a great deal of cooperation, and it was managed successfully. It just reiterates the need to be careful when you're excavating and to pay very, very close attention to locates and to ensure that you have all the information available to you when you are working anywhere on your own properties. To make sure that the environment stays safe for everyone else in the area.
Agree. Well, it sounds like, and of course, there's no advance notice, so the collaboration that it takes and the organization to bring everybody together so quickly, it was well done. So thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Councillor Keith?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Thompson, can you advise me how successful was the open house for the fire department on Saturday? That's my first question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We saw you there, Councillor. It was extremely successful. We had many people through the fire hall, lots of children. I think the count was around 100, over 100 kids participated in the event. We ran out of virtually everything. We ran out of all the barbecue things we had. We ran out of all the toys we were giving out. We ran out of almost everything at the event. So that's what's supposed to happen. And I think I only heard positive feedback. And I hope everyone had a great time. We sure had a great time hosting it.
It certainly was a very nice time, and it certainly seemed very well organized. And I see some people even, I guess, if they completed the passport, ended up with little Dairy Queen card there, so they could go get an ice cream card or ice cream cone afterwards. I'm sure they were starved because there was lots of food there besides, eh? But I have two other questions, and I believe they're for Mr. Cairns. I'm wondering what is happening on Bow Street, and I go back again to the trees that are invading the sidewalks so that you can't walk. What's happening there for both those areas, please?
Through you, Your Worship. So staff have been concentrating on trees for the last week or so, transitioned out of some of the other work. So we're trying to deal with those overhead hazards. And I know previously it was brought up, and I had spoken with Ms. Kruger about the bylaws in terms of responsibility for trimming. We've had a few discussions. Our own tree bylaw doesn't speak to encroachments onto municipal property. And part of the challenge is it becomes a civil issue. So with us being one party and a homeowner being another party, so we're taking the stance from a public works perspective and a public safety perspective of trying to deal with those overhanging branches. And there are a lot. It was a great year for growth this year. In this case, not helpful to us, but we're happy to have, the foliage doing as well as it was doing. So we are working on trimming them back, but there is a backlog.
Well,
Councillor Keith, your microphone.
and I got a loud voice. Yes, perhaps I am still not clear here, because is there some examination of the bylaw, or if not, I'd like to move that we direct staff to examine a bylaw in reference to tree trimming for property owners when they're, for example, when they're invading the sidewalk, because I don't think you should be having to get off the sidewalk, whether you are able to walk or you're in some mobility device, because property owners have just chose not to be responsible.
Through Your Worship, if I could just comment on that. So we did have some discussions. We did check our own bylaws and existing bylaws. I think sometimes we have to be careful because the administration of certain types of bylaws can actually end up being more burden than actually looking after the issue. We would certainly encourage those homeowners that have foliage, plants, shrubs, hedges, trees to please trim them back. We would like you to look after your own plants as much as possible. I can't comment directly. It may be possible to pass such a bylaw, but I just would caution that sometimes the administration of those types of bylaws becomes more of a burden.
Councillor Keith, are you looking
Yes,
for a second?
I'm moving direction for that, please.
Is there a seconder? Council McDonald is seconding.
I thought it was, well, from the tonight, it's obvious that there doesn't seem to be too much clarity there, so maybe we can have a follow-up on that.
So direction for a follow-up or a bylaw to look at that.
Yes,
on
please.
this. Okay, any discussion from anyone on this? No, all in favor of that direction? That's carried.
My other question though is also, Mr. Cans, can you just advise what is happening on Bow Street there where we're down to one lane again? There's a bunch of cones, etc. Probably past 4th Street where we have that dip there. What's happening?
Sorry, Councillor Keith, I'm just trying to.
Before you turn, if I was going out of town, before you turn left down Greenwood. It narrows. It narrows down to one lane from 2 lanes there. Again, I see today all the cones narrowing it down past 4th Street.
Sorry, maybe I'll defer to Mr. Benaza. He's online, so.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. We were just doing some ditching through the area to improve our stormwater drainage.
Clarity, what are you doing, please?
Ditching.
We're doing ditching through the area to improve our stormwater drainage.
Now, today I saw them near the tent. Okay. And the bike shop there on Bow Street. And they had it blocked off, but that was because they were doing the ditching.
Yeah, but it'd be great if all the rest of us knew what they were doing. Thank you.
Mr. Kern.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to offer the comment. These are maybe in a busier area of town, but these are regular maintenance activities. So when there's short duration activities, we don't tend to put out public notices. These do occur quite regularly around town. So it should have been a temporary reduction in lane travel while the work was commencing or while the work was progressing.
Any further questions? Councilor McCann?
Thank you. When Councillor Keith was asking about the trees overextending, and it's something I've been meaning to ask for a while, and I'm not sure whether this falls under bylaw or public works, but I noticed often in my travels in the various neighborhoods where garbage pickup is slated for that day, I often notice bags of garbage and recycle bins left right on the sidewalk. And when they're emptied, there seem to be strewn about on the sidewalk. And I mean, that's fine if you're walking on 2 feet and you can get around it. But I guess since I got involved with community support services, I guess maybe I'm just a little more circumspect about those in wheelchairs. And I see these hazards and hurdles for wheelchair operators to get around. And do we have a bylaw? Is there anything that we can do to encourage people to ensure that their garbage and recyclable bins are off the curb or off the sidewalk area so that people can freely get by, especially wheelchairs? It's more of a problem I see on Bow Street, but I'm just asking.
Through Your Worship. So certainly we do have bylaws regarding the obstruction of sidewalks. So I think this would include anything presenting an obstruction to the sidewalk. Certainly we can communicate with our contractor to ensure that after they're emptied, they're not placed in a hazardous area on the sidewalk. We have direct control over that through our contractor. And certainly if we see issues in certain areas, we can certainly communicate with the building owners, the tenants, whoever happens to be placing them out there. The area adjacent to the sidewalk is an appropriate location. Directly on the sidewalk is certainly not an appropriate location for the placement of those.
Sure, especially, and I don't think that people, it just doesn't occur to them that this would, this could be a hurdle for, or a blockage for someone. So thank you for that.
Anything further? No? Okay. We have no correspondence, so we'll go right to deputations. And our first deputation tonight is Adrian Nguyen, request to reduce speed limit on Wood Street. Duration are 10 minutes in length or whatever for deputations, and there should be a purple button that you press on that. Oh, okay, it hasn't been turned on yet, so there's a side button as well. There, oh. There you go. Now you're live. Welcome.
Your worship, counselors, thank you for your time tonight to hear our deputation. Adrian Nguyen has asked me to join as well because I am a fellow resident of Kristen Heights. My name is Keith Duncan. So what I'll do is I'll turn over to Adrian right now to start our deputation.
Mayor and council, hi. This is a first for me for sure. So yeah, just in regards to the letter I sent in a couple weeks ago, this part of the street there where Isabella turns into Wood Street, just over the train tracks, has become very busy, especially much more noticed now with children in the area, my daughter especially getting on a school bus and having a bus stop right where the 50 zone is. It's become quite dangerous. There's no sidewalks there. We have to stand basically right up in somebody's driveway out of the way because we have, especially this time of year, the trucks coming down for the salt. And there's been multiple times now where bus stops have happened. Children get off the bus, we walk up the street, and they get forced onto the grass areas to get out of the way of the cars because this is the only way to walk to our house. And when that has happened, we actually had last year, my daughter and my mother-in-law were actually walking that way, got forced onto the grass because there was a huge truck coming quite quickly down the hill as it went from 40 to 50. Didn't slow down, and when they were forced off on the grass, my daughter actually got stung 30 times from a hornet's nest that was right in the ground right there. So had there been a sidewalk on that side of the road, then we wouldn't have that issue right there. So we're just moving to get a couple things done as well with that, is to hopefully get some sidewalks. I know there is a plan for that corner to be dealt with. I know there is some waiting on that as we speak. We know that's coming, but at this time, we are hoping that we can get the speed limit reduced because it becomes an even smaller area that the 40 zone ends, but meanwhile, only 400 meters down the street is a daycare. And there's kids all over the place there. There's another bus stop for the public, for the Parry Sound Public School is down the street, not even 100 meters down the street. There's another bus stop right there. So it really is they come down there too fast. People are going too fast through there. I actually came down the hill the other day just to see what it was like myself. And I tried to get up to 50 and I couldn't because it was too fast. So we already know that 50-kilometer zone, which people sometimes like to speed up because they think 40 is too slow in some places, is just way too fast. So we're hoping that this can be dropped down. To go along with this, now that the town has purchased that property at 35 Wood Street, the trees right there have become a very bad issue especially when you're coming up Wood Street, going to make a left into the end of Isabella, Kristen Heights area. You have to basically have your driver's side front of your vehicle in the oncoming lane to see up the hill. We're called in multiple times this summer for the trees to be, whether the branches be cut back or now that the town owns the property, hoping that they can be cut down because now it's just waiting on that corner to be dealt with. So we figured they're going to be gone anyways. So it's been asked multiple times and we just keep being told it's being put on the list, but we haven't seen anything. And it's, especially now it's getting, it's very bad right in that area. So we're kind of going through, that's our idea, is hopefully to get the speed limit dropped down so people just slow down. And so visibility becomes better and hopefully have some sidewalks put in, because a sidewalk does start, if that's what's considered, because it's mainly pavement, right after you pass Marion Salt Dock Road. And as you continue down Wood Street, there's actually a sidewalk there, but it doesn't extend up to the corner for some reason. So, and another idea that we've actually spoken about, another possibility is making the Wood Street, Marion Salt Dock Road corner into a four-way stop instead of a two-way stop. Because multiple times when people come walking up from, especially coming up from the salt docks and they go to make a left to go up towards the train tracks, there's a lot of vehicles that love to cut that corner quite quickly. So if we put a stop sign in there, at least people will slow down and then take their time going around that corner. And it'll also slow down the people rushing down Wood Street, with Wood Street being as bumpy as it is right now. People aren't slowing down either. So we're hoping that this could be talked about, maybe observed a little bit, see if this can be changed, rectified, possibly. I know we are waiting on the corner, but maybe in the meantime, something can be done, even with the speed limit or sidewalks and trees.
So
Yeah,
I know,
just-
I was gonna say, I know Mr. Kearns is taking notes
Okay.
on this as well. You had something?
Yeah, thank you, your worship. Just to add a few things onto what Mr. Nguyen has already said. So with the, I guess, new condos that are now down at Salt Docks, there has already been an increase in traffic in the area. In reading previous correspondence provided to council and previous deputations this year, this is not the first time people have raised the issue of speeding in the area. It is a very known issue, and we need to do something about it right now before heaven forbid something actually happens to a loved one, right? So we need to, enact some sort of traffic calming measures at this point in time. As Mr. Nguyen has said, when you go around that corner, when Isabella transitions into Wood, it's an extremely sharp turn. People, when they go around that turn, they like to take it wide, they like to take it quick. This is a known hazard. And further to what he said already, the trees up 35 Wood, it's town property now. This is a liability that the town now knows about. What is going to be done to mitigate this risk? Especially when, Adrian has said he's contacted Public Works on numerous occasions this calendar year already, and nothing's been done. I'm sure if a request to fill a pothole came in on Wabeck, probably filled the next day or pretty quick after that. The fact that he's contacted, Public Works numerous times and no action has been done other than we'll put it on the list. Not even a follow-up, say, sir, we can't do this for X reason. I understand there's bylaws, right? But when there's a known risk, the town needs to do everything to mitigate it, especially if it's on town-owned property, So this is very concerning. And, we need to do something before something bad happens.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Kearns and I met with CN a couple of weeks ago. And as you indicated, there is work that is going to be done in that particular area. And I believe that the engineering drawings are in the hands of CN because it's all, that whole area is kind of incorporated into one package to be looked at. And I believe that the engineering drawings are in the hands of both railway companies and we're just waiting for them to respond. So we'd like to get it.
If I may,
done.
your worship, yes, that has been the message that has been provided to both Adrian and I from Public Works, is that yes, there's a delay because the drawings are currently in the hands of the two railway companies. So we understand that it's out of the town's hands at this point in time. I know town staff and, members of council are following up on a regular basis with the railway companies to ensure this project gets done in a timely manner, but there's still a known risk in this corridor, right? And with these new condominiums at Salt Docks, there is an increase in traffic in this area. So if that being said, we need some temporary solutions to protect the members of the public. Because right now, nothing's being done. And quite frankly, that's not acceptable.
So is council agreeable to having staff take a look at reducing the speed in that particular area? Okay, I see a show of hands to do that, Councilor Borneman. So that can be brought back. Yes. Oh, yeah. 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 They're easy to do as well. Councilor McCann and Councilor Valesky.
So thank you for your deputation this afternoon or this evening. I mean, just wondering, as a temporary measure, Mr. Curtins, the bollards that have been put in place on Joseph Street, would it be prudent for the town to put them along that corner? Drivers may not be so apt to drive so quickly around that corner if we've got those measures in place.
Through your worship, unfortunately, the configuration of that corner, they wouldn't remain. The truck traffic extends out into the secondary lane. Additionally, this time of year, in fact, those are going to be coming out at the end of October in anticipation of winter as well. So timing wise, but they wouldn't be practical in that application. But part of the planned improvements there are to improve the geometry of that corner as well as the sidewalks. There are some further challenges down on the intersection of Marion and Wood to deal with storm sewers. So I think, we need to remember, and we do, when we look at some of the surface issues, they're not isolated. When we look at redoing roads and reconfiguring some of the corners and that sort of thing, there are impacts underground between water, sanitary, and storm sewers that come into consideration, which tend to unfortunately take longer to deal with for us to figure them out.
I think there's some things we can do that have been mentioned here that we can take a look at and come back to council with.
Certainly, your worship. So my understanding, we did trim back some of the branches. We will get rid of the trees. That'll happen very quickly. That's part of the correspondence I've been having while we're here taking the notes. So the trees can come down and we can certainly look at all of those other things if that's council's desire.
Councillor Bielanski.
I had just had a
Oh.
follow-up if I may.
Okay.
So there's another problem here that we have, no matter what we do anywhere in town, it always comes down to enforcement, and we're preaching to the choir here. There are drivers out there who will just have no respect for other drivers on the road or the laws. There's a sense of entitlement that they can, and if you drive every day, you don't have to hold your breath before you see someone go through a red light, or just in terms of aggressive driving. So that's out there. So enforcement is another part of this equation that needs to be figured out somehow. And but I know that corner and I empathize with the situation that's there, and hopefully we can do what we can now to mitigate some of those problems.
Councillor Bielanski.
Thank you, your worship. I found that the best traffic calming solution is a four-way stop at that intersection. The speed limit reducing, you can reduce, but nobody's gonna pay much attention to it. The four-way stop is going to get 90% of the traffic calming. Some people will drive through it eventually, but I mean, it's going to help the best. I found through my many years of age that the four-way stops do a great job of traffic calming. And I would think that we could put a direct motion forward to put a four-way stop there. That's it for me. Thanks.
You have a seconder? Councillor McCann was, so,
Yeah, I would second that. Yeah.
okay. Any discussion on a four-way stop there? Councillor Borneman.
Just that we make sure it's got the solar panel and the flashing lights and all of those things to start with at least, because they.
Yep. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? That's carried. Okay. All right, thanks. McCann, yeah. Thank you for your deputation. Okay, next deputation is Christina Cap and Barb Harding regarding pickleball. This should be just the front button, I would hope. Oh, no, they turned the side button off too. Okay. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, So we have an extra person here, so.
Yes. I did not have Dom's last name when I signed up, so she only let me put two, but if Don would like to speak as well.
Okay, so Dom,
Don Bott,
Bott?
DOT. Yes,
okay.
thank you.
My last name is CAAP. Sorry,
Oh,
I gave you the wrong
CAAP.
information.
Okay, all right. Well, the clerk will check that out there and Don Bott, right? Just BOT or two Ts?
DOT,
And it's
BOT.
Don.
and it's Dom, DOM.
Oh,
As in Michael,
DOM.
yes,
Okay. Very good.
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor McGarry and councillors for listening to us today. We are a pickleball group in Parry Sound. A lot of people play pickleball in Parry Sound. And we are about 70 people in the group. It's been growing. Of course, it's less in the winter time. We have some snowbirds here too. And it really spans different age group. So the up to the late 80s. That's the group. So with pickleball, we play, maybe you all know what pickleball is. It's 4 in a court. And you play at different levels for your age group and what sort of stuff. And what we have here, we had a very successful spring with pickleballers. So staff, we talked to Jamie and April, they were overwhelmed. People there was a drop in. So we just dropped in and lots of people were sitting waiting. And we didn't know how to sort of control that group. And we talked to them and we tried to help out. We're here to look for solutions. We're not complaining or anything. We would like to work with counselors and everything. So we would like to see how that can grow in Parry Sound. So we play at Bobby War. It's a good floor. It's a low ceiling. So that's some of the drawbacks. So a gym would be very good. It's high ceiling and a good floor. So when the summer came, we didn't know how to solve this. More and more people were coming. So Bobby Ward, they changed their schedule. We had to book a court and to tell them how many was coming. And we are pretty organized, but to be contacting everybody and keep it up, we found another solution. So we got in McDougall, we got offered their ice rink out there. We all got together, put $20 down, bought all the equipments, the nets and everything. So in McDougall, now we're still playing today. Actually, we played every morning. It was a different group, advanced group, beginners group. We divide them up a little bit and a couple of afternoons. So it's very popular. So what we're looking for, so the schedule for Bobby Orr today is one evening, I think it's Tuesday evening for pickleball, and Wednesday morning it's 9 to 11 for advanced players, and in intermediate and 11 to 1 for the beginners. And of course there is a fee. We don't have a problem to pay a fee to play. So what really what we're looking at, how can we get more time at Bobby Orr? We wish to have a gym for sure. We would wish to have a gym where we can go put up 2 to 4 courts and play. And we've been looking around. I've been found areas in town, but they were all booked or floor was not be able to be used. But then I thought about the Y building. It's a gym there. And I talked to Sarah, who was running that office at the Y. And she said, well, it's closed now. It can't be used. And I said, we're very independent people. We can volunteer work, we can clean, we could set it up, we could do whatever. So she will go ahead and talk to head office. I'm not sure how much the township could be involved in that to set something up. I know even talking to my realtor, she said, people coming here, they said, where can I play pickleball? Where is there going to be a rec center? So I think it's such a great opportunity to take this wave of energy. And you see here, this group, they came out tonight to support this group. And what we missed, I would say, for the summer, for new people. Before it was a drop in, it's how I started 2 years ago. It was a drop in a pub where you can come and you pay $1 and the group took you in. And we formed so many good relationships and they taught you, do this, this. And with the summer program, when we had to book, we lost all that drop in for new people to come in. And we had a lot of people coming to our group and said, oh, where could we play with you? And we took them in and we set the court aside and we were teaching them how to work. So that's what we would like to do.
Exactly.
Over you to Dom.
Yes. I too would like to thank Mayor McGarvey and council as well. I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to allow us to tell you a little bit about the overwhelming success that last year's pickleball program actually had for us, the drop-in program that was established at that time, and the benefits that actually came from that. For my personal background, my family's been coming up here for 50 odd years. And just last year, my wife and I became permanent residents up here. And upon that, we decided we want, as active retirees, we want to maintain that level of activity. We looked around pickleball for Bobby Orr Community Center, and we found something that was for pickleball, caught our excitement. We noticed that there was a beginners program there, so we thought we'd go and check it out. We went there, checked it out. We thought when we arrived there's going to be instruction, there's going to be paddle balls available and everything else, only to find out that we didn't have any instruction or anything like that. Rather than that, we walked in to sounds of racquetball balls bouncing all over the place, a lot of noise and a lot of energy in it, and a very, very friendly, warm welcoming from everyone who was playing pickleball to people who never knew what pickleball even was. As we approached them, as I said, they were so warm and welcoming that they took the time to sit down with us, teach us how to play. And soon after that, 2 weeks later or so, we found out that this wasn't just a pickleball center in a program. It turned out to be a social event, to the point where soon after that, there were strong fostered relationships that exist to this day that wouldn't have been had that not given us the opportunity to do so. Since then, we've gone out, we've organized events to go to Stocky Center, bands on the bay, wine tasting downtown, your trail, your fitness trail. Recently, we went on the rugged trail together. And that's just a few of the things that we've actually got together as groups to foster those relationships and continue to grow. So I think the point I like to make is these opportunities allowed us to have a sense of belonging, and perhaps even more important, a sense of community and wellness and well-being, because that's how good we felt about that. And to have that type of reception from everyone there, obviously it spurred people to want to join on. We had so many people wanting to join on. We wanted to find a way to do that. So again, only because of last year set up the way you had the drop-in center set up, it allowed us that opportunity to gain all those benefits for that, just because of that. As you very well know, this is North America's fastest growing sport, has been for the last 3 or 4 years, and is seen to continue to take off. So this isn't a fad that just comes and goes. So the way what we're asking for really is to have the opportunity to have more spaces available for us to play, to capture that momentum that's out in the market right now, because we are getting people every day joining us, where if it's not a drop-in center, we probably would not have joined in because it never gave us opportunity as novice and beginners where we would even start to go. The current program that's in place right now, I tried looking into it. I found a little bit cumbersome. That's why I want to bring back to what really worked for one and all of us. And I think by looking at this involvement, I think I can see this thing by adding more spaces and bringing more people to the population into this area, I think it's a win-win situation for not only the players, but also for the town and economic development that could be realized through this initiative of ours. All we're asking for is there's an opportunity for us to work with council or whomever. We'll make ourselves available to partner with you or anyone we need to find if there's a solution that's going to be amicable for both parties. Because I think it's an opportunity that could be missed by the town. Because believe it or not, if you do a lot of research and reading, you're going to find that people are seeking their destinations for vacations based on pickleball facilities. That's an absolute fact. So I just bring that to council's mind and give us some serious thought, and we're working together for a possible solution. So before I turn it over now to Barb, she can talk about some of the aspects of the economic points.
Good evening, Mayor McGarvey and councillors. Thank you for having us here, and my name is Barb Harding. Pickleball benefits Parry Sound economically as well as physically and wellness and socially as well. Several times a year, I think Don mentioned, we organize lunches at restaurants. We have barbecues in people's backyards where we buy all our supplies in town. And we buy our athletic shoes at Mitch's. We buy our socks at the bargain store. And I bought my paddle at Canadian Tire. I called Canadian Tire this morning and they carry 10 brands of pickleball paddles, many different styles of some of those brands. And in the past 12 months, they have sold 104 pickleball paddles. That's just from the top 3 best sellers. That's not all 10 brands. We buy environmentally friendly insulated beverage bottles at Walmart. We buy our athletic wear in town. We buy our elbow and knee braces, as well as the anti-inflammatories that we all need at Parry Sound's pharmacies. So, and when we look to the future of economics, I mean, there are things like tournaments. I know Midland has tournaments, Port Carling has tournaments, and that can only bring more tourism to town and sell hotel rooms, etc. But that's down the road because that's a whole, we need courts, outdoor courts back. Anyway, we just think that economically, pickleball could greatly benefit Parry Sound. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Can I have another little point? May I?
Quickly.
Okay, quickly. So we're looking for buildings, solutions, land, whatever. That's to work with you to see what can be happening and coming around. Factory building, whatever. I don't know what's around in Parry Sound. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just so you know, last year we did the culture and recreation master plan. It would have been very helpful if the other municipalities would have participated with that. Because we would have had a better grasp on what the area has for buildings and people would have been able to do that. But we were left alone on that. So it's pretty hard to deal with other facilities when nobody wants to participate. So anyway, Councilor McCann, you have a question for these?
Yeah. So thank you for your presentation this evening. I heard rumors that pickleball was popular, but it seems like it's really growing. And this sounds like obviously a grassroots organization that has really picked up speed. Have you organized yourselves into any kind of a league or association or something that that the town can work with you on an official basis? You know what I mean? Like much the same way that you might talk about soccer or minor hockey.
We haven't done that yet. At the moment, we are 2 groups and there is some overlapping in the groups as you know, when you decide to play. We haven't come up with a name for ourselves, but you know, we're very loosely organized, but a very friendly organization. You show up and you play. And so, but to answer your question, no. Not yet.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much and congratulations for making it work.
Councilor Borneman and then Councilor McDonald.
So first of all, I guess I should ask whether I should be investing in sporting goods or pharmaceuticals.
A little bit.
Mr. Mayor, we used to ask for copies of deputations and names and contact information. So do you folks have anything like that, or could you at least give our clerk a hint as to how we go about discussing anything with you folks?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So to that end, I mean, do you want us to email?
Name, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever works for you is good.
Your contact information.
Yeah. I would say that our area is not the only area that's struggling with this. Also at Phenom, I think this is a topic of discussion in just about every community in Northern Ontario because it's come out of the woodwork. 3 years ago, it was something that people did in Florida. Now it's something that people do coast to coast to coast. So have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor McDonald.
Thank you. Thank you for your deputation. Yeah, I mean, I expressed my concern in the spring when I heard that it was being changed to a reservation system because I was concerned about how it affect your drop-in and your participation. And I did hear concerns that people were seeking facilities outside of Parry Sound, which is unfortunate because we do have our facilities here. So ideally, are you looking for a couple more time slots, days? What ideally on your wish list would you like to see?
Ideally, we would like that, just more availability for us and let us fill those hours that you have, because I know there's limited what you have right now, but yes, that would be our ask right now. And I think in so doing, I think it would fit in to our initiative would fit in with this strategic plan of growth and economic growth as well. So I wanted to stress that out, but predominantly, yes, if we can get more spaces would be certainly a great start for us.
If I may, sorry, specifically, there's nothing on the adult and youth programs at the VOCC in the hall at this for the winter on Mondays and Fridays. So there are 2 sessions on Wednesday mornings, and it would be fantastic if we could have 2 sessions on Mondays and 2 sessions on Fridays. And they can divide it up like they have, which we never did before. We just had open. And then we divide ourselves up. We organize ourselves into advanced and intermediate and beginner. But if they wanted 2 more sessions on Monday and 2 on Friday, they can absolutely make 1 open, 1 recreational, and 1 advanced, and 1 open. So, but I would say 2 more Monday and Friday, that'd be perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking.
All right. Mr. Kearns, taking notes. Any other questions, for these folks? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next, give me a second to vacate. Nate. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah, man, today. Okay. Count reports. Start with Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. I don't have anything to report at this time, this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Borneman.
Thank you, your worship. Good evening, everyone. On September 21st, I attended a Zoom meeting of the Ice Cap Group. Carling, the Archipelago, and Seguin have joined the town in passing climate change action plans. There's another zero emission vehicles workshop planned for early 2024. And Ben John, the young man who attended our last meeting, I think was pretty honest and accurate in saying that, while the municipalities are making strides, Ice Cap is rapidly reaching the point where greater buy-in from the private sector and private individuals is going to be required if we're to meet targets that are being set. Later on the same day, again via Zoom, I attended a meeting of the Parry Sound Industrial Park Board with councillors Ashford and McDonald. We awarded a contract to Fowler Construction for just over $2 million. This will provide servicing, which will allow the creation of 22 industrial lots within the park. Through this process, the park's contribution to the project has increased, but even at this, the park board is paying 29% of the costs, and the rest is picked up through FedNor and OHFC. So it's a good deal, in my humble opinion. On September 27th, along with Councillor Boleski, I attended a meeting at again via Zoom for Belvedere Heights. Prior to that, I, along with other staff folk from Belvedere, I'd attended a Zoom meeting with a representative of the Ministry of Long-Term Care, where we were in discussion about bed availability in our community. They've made it clear that they don't have any plan to construct the units, or at least all of the units that we've requested anytime soon. But we have a need, we have a shortage, and we're trying to come up with a plan that makes our community more viable for an aging population. At our meeting on the 27th, I was happy to hear that Councillor Boleski has now joined Belvedere's Finance Committee. He'll be an asset there. And we elected Pam Wing as unanimously as our new board chair. Pam brings a wealth of experience in the healthcare field, and she'll be the right person for the job, moving Belvedere forward. And that's my report for this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor McCann.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and fellow councillors, staff and public. The West Parry Sound District Museum Annual General Meeting, followed by the monthly board meeting, were both held Thursday evening of last week. Due to a personal conflict, I was not able to attend, but I can report on the meetings. The AGM provided a summary of the past fiscal year's finances, updates on various projects and displays throughout the year, appointment of directors, and an appointment of an auditor. During the regular meeting to follow, finance reports for the year 2023 up to date, also for July and August of this year, were received, and committee reports were heard. More policy reviews this month on health and safety in the workplace, some minor changes to that policy. There was talk about the cruise ship visits between May and August this year, resulted in some moderate sales. Interestingly enough, 50% of those sales came on September the 21st. So the fall was good. The museum is beginning to construct a curling exhibition that will be up and running for 12 to 14 months. There was a motion to approve expenses related to the creation of the exhibition up to $10,000. It's believed community stakeholders will help with fundraising and sponsoring. More and ongoing work with reviewing our bylaws. Our manager herself will be attending a workshop on the Not-for-Profit Corporations Act requirements for bylaws, and she's doing that next week to keep us up to date and in compliance with the province. The museum is very proud and happy to announce that we now have fiber optic internet connection through VNet and with special aid from the Archipelago Township. And since that installation, there have been no issues with connectivity beforehand. Lots of trouble, lots of problems. Emergency lighting repairs were done, HVAC maintenance, a communications intern will be hired thanks to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. The museum has partnered with the Indigenous Tourism Ontario, also known as ITO, and the Parry Sound Friendship Center to bring 3 days of workshops to Parry Sound. The museum's role is the provision of the facility. Workshops are aimed at employers, and the partnership was part of the Indigenous exhibit from Science North Museum. Also returns to winter hours that after the Labor Day weekend. And then just last week, along with Councillor Keith and with the Waterfront Advisory Committee, we were treated to a shoreline tour on board the Cambrian boat, which was hosted by Bob Corrigan. This is something that Bob likes to do every year to acquaint the committee with information on our shoreline and where also we all had Mr. Harris with us and Mr. Rand as well. And we just looked at various points that are slated for development and such. So that was an enjoyable evening. Weather was perfect for it. And again, we thank Mr. Corrigan for that. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize this. Of course, Thanksgiving weekend is coming up this weekend, and I think it's important to recognize the efforts of organizations in the West Parry Sound District who work very hard for those less fortunate. And certainly what better time than now to acknowledge with appreciation and gratitude to those who want to make sure that no one goes without. So programs and organizations like Harbor Share Community Food Programs, the Salvation Army, Parry Sound Rainbow Country Church, Turkey for Tummies, the Parry Sound Food Relief Network, formerly known as the Parry Sound Food Share Program, the Mary Street Center Hot Community Lunches, and there's numerous churches, organizations, and individuals who also give generously. So a big shout out to these organizations, and we thank them very much for their help. And I know that there are many more out there. You know, we've often remarked here at council how generous our community is, and the people of the area never fail to support such community causes as food and toy drives. Margaret Mead must have been thinking of Parry Sound when she said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And Coretta Scott King adds, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." And that says it all for the Parry Sound area. And finally, condolences to Susan Murphy, Mayor of Carling Township, and her family on the loss of her husband following a brief battle of cancer. Celebration of Life will be held on Saturday, October 28th at the Carling Community Center. And that is my report. Thank you.
You, Councillor Blasky.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to be a little long-winded tonight, which is unusual for me. But Your Worship and myself and some staff were here on the Monday, the 25th, I believe it was 25th for the flag raising. Very, very good. Let's see the staff and us there. Councillor Borman identified the Belvedere Board of Management Zoom meeting. I'm quite happy to be selected to the Finance Committee, and I agreed to do it. On the September the 29th, I attended at the Dunchurch Community Center, the District of Parry Sound Municipal Association. I'm going to go through some of the stuff here. There were some very, very good speakers. And we had a meeting for the accessibility standards by 2025 under the AODA presented by the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility, which is very good on how they're planning on going ahead. The accelerated high-speed internet program. He told us some of the problems they're having with the islands. People live on islands now, and then to try and get the cable out to the island and how they want it, and some of them just will never get it. It'll have to be done by satellite. But he was a very good speaker, and he spent some time with us to have to show the problems they have. The North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit was updated by Dr. Carol Zambalati, Acting Medical Officer of Health. They have a new office above Shoppers Drug Mart. in town. It's just opening up. And she informed us quite a bit, actually quite a while she spent, but there's about 7 different flu strains coming out this year, which are going to be an issue. So they've come up with the shots, the injections that are going to address, they think, all of them. And they're going to be available mid-October, I believe they're coming out. The Amalgam Community Hatchery Program, they're into walleyes. There was at one time, 4 or 5 years ago, there were 31 hatcheries in Ontario, and the government came in one day and shut them all down. So they went in and got one. There's only one going in Ontario right now, and they're running it at a big a trailer. And a very, very good setup trailer, how they're stocking lakes, because walleye was just definitely pretty well gone. And with this hatchery, they're bringing them back. The Blue Rocks transition presentation on how we're going to change, and this council has been made aware of it by staff on what's going to happen, but they explained a little bit to us as well. And then we had an extended late time with the short-term rentals. A consultant come up and the 2 of them and give us an outlook of what we can do with the short-term rentals and how a lot of municipalities have driven it. They've done a lot of work with Tay Township, and they've made a lot of bylaws, or they've made various bylaws to control the short-term rentals. So it's quite interesting, because we are going to run into that problem. I have one right across the road from me. It's not a problem, but I know I have one. And also at that time, we approved the Parry Sound resolution to increase funding to the Northern School of Medicine by $4 million annually. And that was passed unanimously. And that's my record.
Thank you.
Report. Sorry.
Okay. Councillor Ashford.
I first wanted to bring up an event I attended on Friday, September 22nd. That was hosted by Councillor McDonald. It was an amazing event out on the Island Queen for the chamber, and the awards were given to all the different community members. I have to say it's one of the I think best attended community events I've been to in a long time. So I really wanted to point that out and congratulate and thank you, Councillor McDonald, for hosting that and putting that together, because it was I would have to say one of the most fun nights I had this summer. Staff were there, people from all over were there. It was great. Second, the hospital, I've met with the hospital board, and I think if you haven't seen on Facebook and around, hospital has achieved exemplary standing. 3rd time in a row. It is a challenging standard to hit. And I think within 1% of the ratings from the last time accreditation went through. So it's something I think good for our community to know that our hospital is right at the top of things. And if you, one of the standards, I did a training this morning, one of the standards they said is that if someone comes into the hospital, they should expect good care. I thought, what a bar to set, is not particularly high, but our hospital exceeds that quite a bit. So something to kind of be proud of. In addition, hospice, was able to attend the hospice annual general meeting. And as treasurer, I can say, please donate to hospice because there's a service being provided to the community that it costs money and it's not well funded. And we're battling it out a bit with the minister to get the same funding as some of the other hospices. But in the meantime, there's a lot of needs. So see what you can do to support it. And then finally, Harvest Share has its first dinner of the year every Wednesday, or every other Wednesday, the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of the month. Harvest Share has a dinner at the Knights of Columbus Hall at 5 o'clock. And the tradition is the first one is the one before Thanksgiving, which is a full Thanksgiving meal. It is give what you can. It's a community dinner. It's not a handout dinner or anything like that. It's a community dinner. Nobody checks what you give, but if anyone is able to give and we're able to go and throw in half of what you pay for when you go to a restaurant, you're basically going to pay for that entire meal for everyone who attends. It's delicious, top rated chefs. We have staff that go and do a great job with their families. Coming and enjoying it. I go often with my girls. It is a real great event. So if anyone does have the time and is looking for a meal that they don't have to cook themselves and has 10, 20 bucks in their pocket, you would really be helping out by coming and doing that. And that's everything for today.
Good, thank you. Counselor Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councilors, staff, and the public. Since my last council meeting, as mentioned already, I attended the waterfront meeting on the boat. And I'm grateful that Bob Corrigan has a boat and that Jack Kennedy is a very fine captain. So all was safe, and at the same time, one was able to better appreciate the waterfront and ideas for development, because being a concrete person, I like it when I can see specifics rather than kind of on a map there where I'm trying to imagine, although I do have an imagination, but it may not go with what is being presented. I also attended on September 29th. The West Parry Sound Hospital had a ceremony recognizing the journey towards reconciliation, truth and reconciliation. That ceremony was outside at 10 a.m. So I attended that service, and I appreciated all the work that was involved and the speakers and all the effort that was made by West Parry Sound Health Services and various Indigenous persons who spoke in reference to it. I think also what I found very helpful is during the ceremony at the end, there is a pledge. And in the pledge, it says, "My organization comes here today with a good heart and a good mind. We offer our promise that we will actively seek the truth, and we will share the knowledge and the good words that will help to bring our cultures, our organizations, and our communities closer together. My organization is committed to measurable progress in our journey to reconciliation." And I think this is also very important as we see a council and the efforts that we already are trying to make in reference to truth and reconciliation and recommendations made. Then on September 30th, Truth and Reconciliation National Day, I attended the sunrise ceremony. That ceremony was held at the Francis Pegamagabo statue in Parry Sound. It was definitely, again, very well organized by the Parry Sound Friendship Center, and Dolores McKay was there opening up the ceremony, as well as Desiree was very helpful in that ceremony. And in addition, I had another experience in that I have never been involved before in the tying of the ribbon with tobacco and circling the tree. So it was a very enlightening service. It was an opportunity to smudge and to speak your truth and to share and hear the pain expressed by various Indigenous people. So that was my involvement since last council. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Borneman. You had something you needed to add? Microphone?
Just one thing to add.
Microphone?
I think I eventually get the hang of this. Yeah, I forgot to turn the page. I just wanted to congratulate Dr. Allison Webb, a Parry Sound native. Allison is an alumni of the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, and she was just deemed in August Program Director, Family Medical Medicine Surgical Residency Program. Great achievement. I'm glad that we continue to support the school, and I know our folks will be real extra proud. I'm sure they're always proud, but extra proud. Sorry about the overs.
No, that's okay. That's a really good one. Council staff and public, September 22nd, I chaired an AMOS Social Policy and Human Services Task Force meeting. It was done by Zoom. September 25th, as was mentioned, we raised the Truth and Reconciliation flag here at the town office. September 27th, I attended a public health meeting and a public health finance and property meeting. And a report update was given on the renovations above Shoppers Drug Mart for the construction for the new office location. September 28th and 29th, I attended the AMO Executive Committee meeting, Committee of the Whole meeting, and board meetings in Toronto. And yes, I would like to offer my condolences as well to Carling Township's Mayor Susan Murphy on the passing of her husband just recently. And that's my report. So on with the agenda. Moved by Councillor Borneman and second by Councillor. That one is McDonald. Yep. That council accept a bid from Donald Curry Trucks Incorporated to purchase a 7-ton truck in the amount of $419,117, complete with plow harness and dump body, plus the provisional underbody plow in the amount of $17,960, and to the trade-in of the 2013 7-ton Western Star for the amount of $21,000. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, Councilor McDonald.
Sorry, just quickly, through your worship. These plows have a 10-year life cycle, is that correct?
Sorry, through your worship. Yes, that's correct.
I think.
Okay, anything further? All in favor then? That's carried. Okay, moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman. Whereas in February of 2022, the province's Housing and Affordability Task Force delivered its final report with recommendations to help Ontario tackle the housing supply crisis and build at least 1.5 million homes by 2031. Whereas the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Paul Caldelandra, has reached out to municipalities to identify their top 5 recommendations for future consideration, which staff have analyzed. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Parry Sound's top 5 housing affordability task force recommendations as identified in Schedule A be provided to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Paul Caldelandra, and MPP Graydon Smith. And I do have a suggestion on this particular one that we separate out the one point. It has to do with recommendation number 12. And that is number 4 on our list. Wait, number 12. That it says serious consideration to be given should be given to requiring lands outside the municipal boundaries serviced with water and wastewater. So that particular one, I'd like it separated out because we're really not in support of that particular one. It's not one I would think that we would. I think we have that would serious consideration. And I know when it was brought to the Amos table that the municipalities were not very happy with that particular one as well. And so we want to make sure that one is kind of hived off from the others that we can support. Now, we can support that one based on some recommendations that are in the background material, but That's not what the task force had put forward. So I don't know how we separate that or how that flows out, but Mr. Harris.
Through the chair, I think if you just direct staff, I don't even think you need a motion. We know that you want that number 12 highlighted, that, and it's clear in the report that we don't support the recommendation as written, but we just want to make that clear to the province when they're reading hundreds of these, that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So highlight it that this recommendation, although it's in our top 5, the way it stands, we don't support, and amendments are required. So we'll make that clear when we provide comments.
Councillor McCann.
I would move that or second it.
Okay, I guess you're moving it, then we'll second her and we'll. Okay, Councillor Keith. All in favor of that? Okay, that's carried, none opposed. So it's an amendment, which makes it a little more. Yeah. Any comments on this particular item? Councillor McDonald.
Any idea on the timeline when they would be looking at tackling this ask or?
So they put this out generally to all the municipalities in Ontario. Okay, now we at our, what was it, last meeting or 2 meetings ago? We sent a resolution to the new minister, basically saying that in the next 10 years, we're, saying that we will have about 1,900 new homes within our community. And so they are looking for that type of information. They want information like this from the municipalities, because what they're saying is that if you don't respond to their asks and get buy-in to this, you may not get some funding. We want to be there for some funding, but the province needs to know where we stand on these different issues. And, there is a general feeling straight across this country, I'm going to say province, I should say, that the majority of municipalities were not happy with the task force because the task force included developers, real estate agents and bankers. And that's where your recommendations came from on the housing. There was no municipal input. There was no other general sort of public input, but it was all the people that are related to making money or how it would all work out in the housing market. So, it's been a tough slog for AMO on this one, because, AMO has given a number of recommendations over the years, because I know I've chaired that task force, to say how we can do more housing and how things can work. And when the Auditor General came out and said there is enough housing within, what municipalities have on their books, that flew in the face of what the province did. Now they've rescinded what they're doing, but it's just, you really need to partner on a broader range than just specific groups. Mr. Harris.
Through the chair, just to add to that, the province sent the letter out requesting municipalities to rank the top 5 on September 15th. And they wanted a response by October 16th. So it's a new minister. That's a very short time frame. It suggests that they're anxious to get moving and put whatever they legislative things or other things in place to encourage housing. So I would guess they're going to act fast, but just based on the speed so far.
Yeah, that's true. This gives them an idea where everybody sits, sort of thing, within the province. But we want to make sure that, number one, they know where we stand with regard to building more homes and where we are, because we want to be able to get infrastructure money. And if they want those new homes built, we need the infrastructure money to upgrade what we have and produce some more infrastructure to make this all work. So we need some help. Any further comments? No? All in favor then? And that's carried, none opposed. Moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Borneman, that council authorize the application to be made to the Canada Arts Presentation Fund, CAPF, for the 2024-2027 Stocky Center programming season, and that Clayton Harris be confirmed as the person with signing authority. And Nicole is online. If there's any questions. Any questions? No, all in favor then? And that's carried. And I will note at this time, and I forgot to put it in my report, congratulations to Caitlin Dyer on the birth of her baby boy. Yeah, so Nicole, can you please extend those congratulations?
Of course.
Thank you.
I will for sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Moved by Councillor Boleski, second by Councillor Ashford, that council supports placing memorial stone residential schools Indigenous children in the parquet at the corner of Seguin Street and Great North Road, subject to receiving comments from Saxon and Shawanaga First Nations, the Friendship Center, and the owner of the memorial stone. Councillor Keith.
Yes, I'd just like to add a friendly amendment. Can we just, so that's clarity here, put Parry Sound Friendship Center? And it's my understanding that as a result of whatever discussions, something would come back to council so that we would be aware then afterwards as to what the decision is in case the agreement or the thought is that the stone be placed elsewhere.
So you're asking for after to put Parry Sound before the Friendship Center?
Yeah, Parry Sound, because it's a Parry Sound Friendship Center rather than just the Friendship Center for clarity.
Okay. I think that's a friendly amendment because we're all
Yes.
thinking that that's what it is anyway, so. Any further comments?
But I have a
Okay,
question,
okay.
but my question has to do with, as a result of the discussion, will there be a correspondence coming back to us for clarity that, yes, they are concurrent with this or whatever recommendations they may be making?
Through the chair, certainly staff can report back on the comments that we received from the organizations listed.
Great, thank you.
Anything further? No, all in favor? And that's carried. This is for direction for staff follow-up, moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McCann. That staff be directed to obtain the necessary approvals from the Optimus Club and the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, AGCO, to release the funds held in trust to the Simcoe Muskoka YMCA for the purpose of supporting recreational services in the Parry Sound community. Any discussion? Councillor McCann?
So the people of the area of Parry Sound still benefit then from these funds then?
Yes. Councillor Keith?
Yes, can somebody just explain to the public as to what is happening here for clarity, please?
Certainly, through the chair, to Councillor Keith. Several years ago, in 1994, in fact, the Optimus Club raised funds for a pool. Those funds were provided to the town to be placed in a trust for the eventual contribution towards a pool project. With the creation of the board, that is 6 municipal partners have joined together to build a recreation facility. We got the approval of the Optimus Club. That was one of the conditions.
to transfer the monies, approximately 40,000 to the board. We also, as part of the agreement, had to get the permission of the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. When we sought their approval and the correspondence from them is attached, they declined, indicating that this board is created under the Municipal Act and doesn't qualify to receive these types of funds. So an alternative, and they refer to it in their email as well, that an option might be to provide it to a charity, such as the Y, and then the Y could in turn get those funds and use them for the benefit of the Parry Sound community. So the original intent was to give it to the board, but that wasn't permitted. So we're suggesting that the funds be given to the YMCA and then they can contribute it back. We'll have conversations with them if that gets approved. But, you know, as members of council may recall, we're hoping to have an operating agreement with the YMCA to operate the new facility. So we are planning on moving forward jointly to operate this new facility. So they're probably the best community partner, charitable organization that would to provide those funds to.
Okay. All in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Ashford that council receives the 2022 Reserve Fund Annual Report attached to Schedule A in compliance with the town's reserve and reserve fund policy, and that council hereby approves the allocation of the remaining surplus as identified in Schedule B. Any discussion? Councillor Ashford?
Just my first time around. Is there anyone that could kind of give a little bit explanation on how the reserves all go? And looks like we try to top them up pretty much as we can, and then we draw on them as little as we can, and they seem pretty healthy from my looks. But is that kind of what we're dealing with and how it works and that kind of thing?
I think Ms. Phillips would be well qualified.
Yes, happy to give a bit of an update. So tonight's annual reserve fund report is being brought forward to council to approve along with the 2022 surplus allocation. So the report identifies that all of the transfers have been made in accordance with the town's policy on reserves and reserve funds. And it shows that the 36 reserve have a balance at the end of 2022 of 28.6 million compared to 25 million at the end of 2021. In 2022, there's a newly established water and wastewater capacity reserve. So that's a bit of a change to be funded from the water and sewer servicing fees. So that reserve has 440,000 by the end of 2022. In addition, the town's 19 reserve funds now have a balance of 9.8 million compared to 9.1 million at this time last year. So in addition to that, the year-end surplus as compared to the budget is approximately 1.5 million for 2022. And the recommended allocation of that surplus is in accordance with the town's operating surplus and deficit policy and within the minimums and maximums of that policy. So one thing I'll point out is that the allocation includes a recommendation to put 955,000 of those monies to the town's pool reserve to avoid the future use of debt. So that's a bit outside of the policy, but within council's authority to do that. So that's the recommendation. And contribution to the legal insurance claims reserve just based on projections of what might be needed in the future to plan for those expenses. The remainder is allocated to future capital replacement. And the year's final COVID-19 funding allocation is within the report for council's information. So for if you need any more details, you can refer to the report, or I'm happy to answer any questions related to that as well if council has any.
Did that explain it? Super. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Are there any other questions? No? All in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Ashford, whereas years of research confirms the benefits of high quality early learning and childcare for young children's intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development and later life outcomes. And whereas childcare promotes the well-being of children and responds to the needs of families and the broader community by supporting quality of life so that citizens can fully participate in and continue to contribute to the economic and social life of their community. And whereas trained and knowledgeable registered early childhood educators and childcare staff are the key to quality in early learning and childcare programs, whereas registered early childhood educators and childcare workers will be vital to the success of Canada-wide early learning and childcare system. Therefore, be it resolved that the October 17th, 2023 be designated the 23rd Annual Childcare Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day in recognition of education, dedication, and commitment of childcare workers to children, their families, and the quality of life of the community. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried.
Worship?
Yeah.
Can I put a motion forward to put direction to staff to share the ECE Appreciation Day with the elementary schools in town?
Yeah, sure. Second, you okay? All right. All in favor of that? That's carried. Thanks.
Can I further comment?
Yeah.
That I just wanted to commend the council over the last 5 years. At least I've been reading about this day being brought up every single year. And although I kind of spread it around with the ECs a little bit, I think it really shows our commitment to the young people in our community.
So send a letter, basically. Yeah, okay. Okay. Moved by Councillor Bielanski and seconded by Councillor Ashford, whereas speeding in the town of Parry Sound roads is a concern and can occur in all areas of the community. And whereas barriers and delays to enforcement pose a danger to the community, and whereas the town of Parry Sound has limited resources to implement speed mitigation, road design, and redesign, and whereas local police service has limited resources to undertake speed enforcement, and whereas S 2005-1 of the Highway Traffic Act HTA provides that automated speed enforcement systems ASE may be only placed in designated community safety zones and school safety zones. Therefore, be resolved, the town of Parry Sound supports the request of the city of Cambridge that the Ontario government amend S 205.1 of the HTA to permit municipalities to locate an ASC system permanently or temporarily on any roadway restricted to only permanently or temporarily on any roadway under the jurisdiction of the municipalities as determined by the municipality and not be restricted to only community safety zones and school safety zones. And the copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Ontario Minister of Transportation, the Ontario Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MPP Graydon Smith, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all Ontario municipalities. We need this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked this be brought to the agenda tonight, having reviewed it from the city of Cambridge. And as Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that we need it. It seems sitting at the council table for some time now. We've heard different times, just as deputation tonight regarding speed, the need. And I think there's some areas in the community that if we had this tool, it may bring about at least a decrease in speeding, because we all know nobody likes tickets. So the safety of all persons in our community is a concern. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Ashford, your microphone's still on. Okay, super. Thank you. Councillor McCann, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Yeah, great idea. Can someone explain then exactly what these systems are about? And is this basically portable photo radar?
It's basically photo radar, but in some positions, it would be permanently fixed. And especially the school zones, but this resolution is asking for either portable ones to be able to move around or to remove, have them in areas outside of.
Exactly.
So in other words, Bow Street, for example, would
Right.
be a prime probably area for one. I would even say River Street.
Any
It's a
street.
it's a long straight run. But, you know, we have, our hope is that we'll get something for Joseph Street, and that's why all that mitigation stuff is being done right now or whatever, which somebody ran over one of the signs today and really bent it badly. We have to do these things to let people know, because there is a reduction in speed within the community already, so, but we've got to slow people down somehow, and this is one way to do it, because you hit their pocketbook.
I just to follow up, and I know this is another conversation, but I'd still like at some point or another to see the cameras at stoplights to catch people going through the red lights, because I still think that that is a very dangerous situation and it happens every day.
We'll get there with that too. One thing at a time, I guess. All right, anything further on this one? All in favor? And that's carried. I guess it should have, really, yeah. But at least he gets to see what goes on here, so. Move by Counselor Keith and second by Counselor Boleski. The bylaw number 2023-7370 being a bylaw to appoint Zach Cousineau as deputy treasurer for the town of Parry Sound be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. Are all members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Keith and second by Counselor Ashford, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed and sealed. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Zach Cousineau. He's our new deputy treasurer. Zach, if you want to come up to the microphone and say hello. We didn't have to actually twist his arm to come and work for us. But I found out today when I met him that he is a referee and he took a puck to the hand, so he's broken about a finger or something, right? So he's, yeah, you're right-handed though, right?
I'm right-handed, yes.
That's good. So anyway, everybody, Zach,
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
anything? Can you tell us a little bit where you were before and?
I come from the town of New Tecumseh. That was my previous job. I was a financial analyst there. Where I worked primarily on budgeting, quarterly reporting and long range planning. Those were kind of the major responsibilities. Like I said, a referee ice hockey, although I think my season's done this year. So it's gonna be a long winter, but I look forward to just make sure I can dedicate the right time to learning the job and make sure I do a good job for you.
Super, thank you. Yeah. All in favor? And that's carried. Welcome aboard. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more question for him. Did you find a place to live?
Here, not yet. Get the information first, and then we'll
Were you there when Rick Milne was married? Yeah. Right, yeah. Rick was married a long time, yeah, yeah. Moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Borneman, that bylaw number 2023-73-71, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. I know I'm not going to pass it. Okay. All members in favor have the second and third reading. That's carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McDonald. The bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time by signed and sealed. We will not pass this right yet because we have to go back into closed. So, but I should read the next council meeting notice so that that's there. So the next meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled for Tuesday, October the 17th at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held at the town of Parry Sound Council Chambers, 52 Seguin Street, entrance via Gibson Street, be live streamed and recorded. And all regular council meetings are held at 7 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each month, except January and August, where only one regular meeting is scheduled. The council meeting schedule, notices of special council meetings, complete agendas, minutes, and instructions on accessing live streamed and recorded council meetings are all posted on the town's website. Go to www.parrysound.ca and use the search bar. Your TV airs council meetings on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. following a regular council meeting. And for Cogeco listings, contact www.yourtv.tv. And for this aired portion, thank you, everyone, and good night.